Hello, everybody. Welcome to Cub Chat Live. I would say it's a first. We've got a bear on the show today. No, actually, I think we're supposed to have Chris Crowley on, who is not only the Deputy Scout Executive for the Central Florida Council, but he's also a boots on the ground den leader. Chris, are you anywhere over there? Or,
maybe.
No.
So, yeah.
He's the man in the suit. Guys, he is behind the bear suit. Hello.
It's hot here in Florida. I'm taking that off. So.
Yeah, it's getting a little cooler here, but I'm going to put you on the spot. Why do you have that bear suit?
We actually use it in my Cub Scout pack, actually, just to get the boys and girls excited about different things, especially at the joining time frame. We don't want to scare them with it, obviously, so usually there's people that are better than me at it. But we just want to get people used to having fun in scouting, and that's what more fun thing is to have adults dress up and make sure that they can understand that scouting is fun. So we're a lot of different things. Usually we don't try to use it outside, especially in Florida, just because it's a little hot. But anything you can do to get kids excited and their heads kind of going with the creativity of Cub Scouts, we find it works real well in my Cub Scout pack. So.
Okay, as a the person wearing it, is it scary in there? Do you get a little claustrophobic?
Well, I guess you just kind of get used to it. There is like some sort of thing that keeps your head from like messing up, moving around. So it's not too bad. I mean, it's not that bad. Like I said, if it had a built-in air conditioner, it'd be a little nicer.
Right. Maybe you can put a fan in there. I am impressed with how good your audio is, even with the bear head on. Quick shout outs. Thanks, Rusty, for tuning in. Hello, Pack 84. Hello, Pack 21. Hello, Omen. Thanks for tuning in. Luke says Bears eats beats. Shout out to everybody who gets that reference. That's not what we're here to talk about today, as interesting as it is. We have a really important topic to cover today. Yeah, I know. It's a shocker, Chris. No, we're here to talk about the Be a Scout pin. Hopefully a lot of our audience, when they hear Be a Scout pin out there, know exactly what we're talking about. Some of you new parents may know what we're talking about, but you don't know what we're talking about. So let's start off with the question, what is a Be a Scout pin? Is it something you wear?
So it's not necessarily something where it's something you can start you should go to so you can start earning things. That's definitely, so basically what Be a Scout is an opportunity where the Boy Scouts of America have come up with a way where we can integrate with the tech world. And just like Google Maps, and it uses Google Maps a lot of things, is Be a Scout gives an opportunity for a brand new Cub Scout family or a family that might move to another state, city, or wherever. It gives them an opportunity to kind of see what's around them, what Cub Scout packs, what Scouts BSA troops, whatever scouting unit are there, and that they can see what's around them. So they literally can go right to Be a Scout, put in your zip code, the 5 little digits, and a whole bunch of different Cub Scout packs are going to pop up, and then you get a lot more information. But that's kind of the 30,000 foot overview of Be a Scout, is the opportunity to see how much Cub Scouts is. And I'll be honest with you, what's great also about Cub Scouts and Be a Scout is you really do get an understanding of how big the movement is. You can literally pick any 5 digits, and I'm willing to bet you're going to find a Cub Scout pack somewhere in the radius. So
yeah, you said it better than I could, but if you have ever been to, beascout.org and put in your zip code to see if there were units near you, and you discovered a unit or you saw that little map with pins in it, you were looking at Be a Scout pins. And so the real question is, like, where do those pins come from? Who's putting in all that information? Like, how do those exist?
So the pins are for the Cub Scout, like talking about Cub Scouts, because we're here in Cub Chat Live. For the Cub Scout packs, they're the ones that are making sure the pins are up to date. And we say that because just like any other kind of medium in communication, you want to make sure you put in the zip code, you're going to go to something, you're going to have five Cub Scout packs that are in your area. When they see one of the pins, they click the pin. So that means that there's got to be information that's been uploaded. That's usually the job of the Cub Master, assistant Cub Master, or if you have a pack that's just going and awesome, you have a Be a Scout chair. You have someone whose sole purpose is to work on Be a Scout, because there's so many different things you can do with Be a Scout. You're going to get information of who to contact, because a lot of times people just want to have a question. So someone's phone number could be on there, the welcoming committee for your Cub Scout pack, but also when and where they meet. One of the things that we're finding more and more is we're all busy. We want all of our family members, we want all of our sons and daughters to be involved with lots of different things. So sometimes, again, if a Cub Scout pack is meeting on Monday, but you know that your daughter has dance or softball or whatever she's doing on Monday, you need to look for other areas. So the more information the Cub Scout pack is able to put in this digest of different things, will help the Cub Scout pack get more and more Cub Scouts involved. And I think, speaking as a den leader, that's one of the best parts of Be a Scout, is it really widens the net and getting more and more people involved, because I think that's why we're all here. We love the Cub Scouting program. We want more and more people involved.
Absolutely. And we want to reach them in a way that like makes sense to families of today. They're not, this is kind of how they find things, this is how they, you know, a lot of us, me included, I want all the information. I want to be able to read all the information I need before I ever have to talk to anybody, you know, or reach out. Like, I don't want to have to reach out and ask me questions. When do you meet? How can I meet up with you guys? Like, I want to find all that information. And I think that's why the Be a Scout pin's kind of powerful.
Yeah. And then you want to go past that. So you want to ask the meat and potatoes, if you will, past the overall observation questions. You want to find out, okay, how long has your Cub Scout pack met when you're calling at this location? How many boys and girls are involved? Those are the things that's the in-depth conversation. And the cool part is the Cub Scouts and the Be a Scout gives an opportunity to start the bridge of communication. I think that's one of the most important things.
You bring up a really good point that I didn't think we were going to get into yet. And I'm not even sure I thought we were going to get into. If you don't put a lot on there, I've heard, let's just cut to the chase. I've heard unit leaders complain about all of the people who reach out to them through their Be a Scout pin. And, you know, some of them aren't interested. Some of them don't even know what the program is. Like, you know, like they feel like they're inundated, which, hey, I think that's a good thing. But the less information you put on there, the more of a problem it becomes. The more information you put there, the more you're kind of like fielding in who is going to be contacting you, right? Hello. I'll do some quick shout outs. Hopefully you guys are hearing me. If you're not hearing me, maybe behind the scenes, Brian can send me a message. But Rob, good friend of the show, just dropped the beascout.org link in the comments. That's somewhere you guys can head right now to see what we're talking about. You can be looking at Be a Scout pins as we are going through these points on today's show. I'll drop that beascout.org link in all of the comments, because I know some of you guys are watching on YouTube and various Facebook channels. I want to give a shout out to Pack 428. Thank you, Luke, for telling me you hear me loud and clear. I hate when we have a technical difficulty, but I also love it because I think it proves that we're live. Sometimes you reach up to adjust that camera, you disconnect your audio. It's literally happened to all of us. Shout out to Pack 219 and Cheryl from the Gulf Stream Council, Everglades District Membership Chair. She loves beascout.org too. You leaders out there, I have a question for you. And I definitely want to ask Chris this as well. You know, like, do you find that the Be a Scout pins work for you? Do you feel like you get a lot of outreach that way? Chris, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm back. Sorry about that. I got a phone call and I think it messed up the settings.
Literally no problem. I was just saying, you know, I hate the technical difficulties because I think it, you know, like scares everybody on board, but I like it because it proves that these shows are really live.
Yeah, that's true. So
yeah. We're really answering your question. So if you guys have questions and comments, please leave those. But again, I just posed the question to our leaders. Do you use the Be a Scout pin, and do you find that you get a lot of outreach that way? Chris, my question to you, because you're seeing it at the council level and the unit level, do they work?
Yeah, I will tell you, we have never seen, especially this season, this fall, we have never seen here in the Central Florida Council, it's just amazing the number of people that are utilizing the Be a Scout to join scouting, both in, again, I can speak for my Cub Scout pack and also the Central Florida Council. The amount of families that are using the Be a Scout program to find new Cub Scout packs is amazing. We're seeing it more and more. I'd love to hear from other councils what they're doing, but it truly is, as you can see on screen, it's very simple. They just put in the zip code and bam, you go. But we're seeing more and more and more people coming. And on average, some districts here in Central Florida Council are getting 40 to 50 individuals getting interested through Be a Scout every single week, and times that by and it's going more and more.
Yeah, I honestly, this is how I locate units. I just go on to Be a Scout. Like, you know, if I want to get in contact with somebody, I want to ask for permission to use a photo or something. If I'm not reaching out through the council, I have certainly used Be a Scout to find a unit. And like you said, it's a great way to, like, you know, like, I don't want to say the shop units, but when you're first looking for a den, perhaps you want to find one that fits your family. So you're going to find maybe that there's a handful of units near you and you grab some information that way. Okay, there is, you know, like, I'm kind of curious, there's some maintenance involved in a Be a Scout pin. What does that look like in a year? Like, how often should you be checking it? How do you make sure it's up to date?
Well, the biggest thing is first you want to make sure it's up to date. So I would say again, have the Cub Master, assistant Cub Master, someone on your committee is it kind of owns it, and they should check it. You could easily check the maintenance side of it, really where you meet, when you meet. That stays static unless you change. You don't really have to change that. If you want to highlight some cool things or maybe put a link in there of some photos, you could do that. But really, the biggest part about Be a Scout is the Cub Master or whoever is identified by your Cub Scout pack will get notified when someone is interested. At that point, you definitely want to make sure someone reaches out. The biggest complaint we hear on many different levels of scouting is people really want to join and they get all excited. They go to Be a Scout, they pick a Cub Scout pack, and then they don't hear from anyone for a month and a half. That's not what we want. Obviously, that becomes a detractor. We want to make sure that someone feels completely involved and engaged as soon as they have interest. So usually making sure that you can make contact through text or phone call very quickly is one of the biggest pieces I could say. It's a pretty simple process. I know I have some things that we can share on the screen if we'd like, of just the process that your Cub Scout pack can own to make sure that every single, so you just go to My.Scouting, you log in, you can go to the next thing. And this is how to accept a new youth. You hit the little menu button thing. It's pretty simple. And then we can go to the next slide. Go to your pack number. Hopefully, you know your pack number. But if you have multiple registrations, obviously, if you're with a Scouts BSA troop or a venture crew, it'll probably show up here too. But you want to go to the pack and you click that. And then application manager. And this is really where everything is going to lie. You can go to the next slide. And so you see where it says pending applications. This is the number that you always want to be close to zero, because a pending application means that someone has taken the time to go through, get an idea of what they want to do, and they've picked your Cub Scout pack. So you want to view those. You can go to the next slide. And then you look at the different things and you click the name of the youth that are pending. Hopefully it's a whole bunch, because that means a lot of boys and girls are trying to join your Cub Scout pack. And you can click an individual one, so we can go to the next slide. You scroll down, and then you're going to see, if you go to the next thing, this is getting information, you can accept them. So what's really important is, if they've already paid and they're ready to go and you hit accept, please make sure you have a follow-up communication plan. I've said it like 3 or 4 times. I can't say it enough. Make sure that people know that they've signed up for scouting. Their son and daughter is obviously excited about joining Cub Scouts, or they're excited. And we want to make sure and accept them both into our Cub Scouting family at our pack level, but also for the whole movement. So it's important to do that. We can go
that issue is like an organization-wide issue. I mean, we've talked about it in years past, but it's worth reiterating just in case we have new viewers. But it's definitely we have an onboarding issue where people sign up and unfortunately people don't ever get contacted again. If you need help with figuring out how to make that feasible for you, like setting up a form email or something, so that you're at least getting these people to the first meeting so that they're looped in, reach out to us, comment. We want to help. And I'll also say, if you're familiar with the BSA Brand Center, there's a great onboarding flyer that you can fill out and you can just, send out to these families, text it out to them, send it in GroupMe, whatever you have to do to just get them that first meeting, and then they're going to naturally fall in line and know what's going on. But if no one reaches out, they don't know where to show up and when to show up.
Yeah, again, we talked about it a couple of times, but it's crucial to make sure that we can fulfill what we need to do to get more people to join Cub Scouts. And if someone has taken the time to fill everything out and pay, especially, make sure we can welcome them. And I would highly recommend that the welcome packet that you're sending them is not only text, but a phone call. Hopefully from the den leader, at least the Cub Master. It's a 2-step process, because remember, one of the things that's also happening is a lot of the councils in the country are doing a big membership recruitment drive, but scouting recruitment's year round. So people are going to be joining through Be a Scout year round. So that's why it's just as important to make sure whoever in your Cub Scout pack is owning Be a Scout is actually owning Be a Scout and checking it to make sure, because you could have even more people join in the spring rather than the fall. It really just depends on the community you live in.
And you should be getting emails when those are in there. But I think it's setting up. So there's 2 things: making sure that the information on the Be a Scout pin is accurate, but also checking to see if you have applicants, and maybe just setting a reminder on your phone. I think you probably only have to check that the information's correct. not nearly as much, but you have to check the applicants often.
And sometimes everyone's got their own different email addresses or email things between Gmail and Ymail and whatever mail is happening. So we don't know what's going to happen. Some filters change, and it might be going to junk email. It might be going to something else. So that's why, like you just said, making a weekly check on this site would be something I would highly recommend you do, regardless if you get an email or not. Check it just to see, because it could have went to that junk email or the non-focused or whatever other adverb and adjective they're going to start using with everything else. So.
Oh yeah, the focused inbox gets me all the time. That's so funny. And you know what I faced with my unit is we would get, like submissions of, like on our Be a Scout, and I think we, multiple of us got the email, and we kind of all had that bystander effect where it was like, oh, they're going to reach out. No, they're going to reach out. And so we just kind of all sat there at a point, and we delayed on reaching out to a family, which was a big miss. But we've learned. We've got some great comments coming in. I asked you guys, how's Be a Scout work for you? We've got multiple comments on, different points to make. I'm wondering if we can help Luke. He's got a really specific situation, but Kevin says yes and no, it's worked for them. This is his 5th year as a leader, and they have to be looking for it. It's an interesting point. Maybe I do think that there's probably room for more promotion of it. It's a really awesome tool. Again, one of my favorite things is you can see the different dens available to you. It isn't just oh, I saw this, this must be the only unit in my area, so this is where we're going. You have a few options. You have days that could potentially work better for your family. I think you kind of covered that, Chris.
Yeah, and there's other ways you can promote Be a Scout. Your PAC can promote Be a Scout through social media ways. You don't have to have the council do it or the national council. Your PAC can actually do it too. So there's other ways to promote it out also.
So what does that look like? What do you mean?
Well, you honestly can create a geofence in Facebook with it. You could actually do that, and that every single, you can put it as attendant audience of a 10-mile radius or a 15-mile radius of where, probably a 10-mile radius of where your Cub Scout PAC meets. And the audience is individuals who have sons and daughters. So anyone with a kid that's age range from 5 to 10 that goes within that geofence is going to trigger an ad that's going to show up on Facebook. And that ad will say, hey, come see us in this. It could be for your Cub Scout PAC, or you can actually just do it to say, go to Be a Scout, so you get an idea of what's going on. Really, I think one of the things that is important to remember is I think we all need to help each other. So the Cub Scout PACs hopefully aren't too competitive with each other. I think the biggest thing is we want to make sure everyone's joining Cub Scouts. So whatever we can do as a movement and as all the different PACs together, where people are driving, they would get a whole bunch of different Be a Scout things. That would be ideal, just to, again, increase the amount of people that are looking at the site.
Very good. Okay, I'm wondering if we can help Luke here. It might take a little more information that we need from you, Luke, but he's saying, one problem he's run into is when you search with the northern part of the area, our PAC doesn't even come up. So Luke, are you saying when you put in the zip code, it's just because of where it's landing, your troop is? Give us some more information. I want to understand this issue, because maybe is your zip code right in there? Have you checked your information to make sure?
I would definitely go into the pin management, into the edit thing, and make sure that the location of where you're meeting, that the address is correct. I know that sounds simple, but that we find that a lot. So, or sometimes people in their zip code, it was supposed to be 32825 and they put 32824 or 3.
Yeah.
That will change everything, and you're not going to be able to see it on the aerial view from the map perspective.
So correct me if I'm wrong, the leaders' information is pulled into there automatically, right? You can go in and edit it, but it defaults to just pulling your leader's information. Because when I had this with a venturing crew, it was pulling in my work phone number, which I don't sit at my desk anymore. So I wanted to go in there and update that. And so you can not manually override, that sounds too fancy, but you can go in and customize the information that's showing up there.
The biggest thing to do is just go in every couple of months and just look at what's there. Like I said, and you want to make sure the email address for the contact person is correct, because it's pulling from different data points, but people's email addresses change, people's workplaces change, and really where they want emails to go, because we all usually have more than one email address, but that might change for you. And so you want to change, but also the phone numbers, or like we said earlier, if your Cub Scout PAC has a very vibrant committee or just that one parent who really loves to talk, make sure that person's the contact person. But you want to go in there and you can, it's very quick to change. You can do it literally from any device, from Safari, from Chrome, from anything else that I'm not familiar with, but lots of different. So.
And honestly, we gotta be transparent. Some people don't want their cell number up there, but there are other parents like in the unit who wouldn't care and would love to field the calls. Like it's great to have those conversations and see who's comfortable with what, and making sure just like the information up there is the main thing is just that you're going to check whatever email or phone number that you're going to be promoting, I think. Absolutely. Rob brings up a great point that commissioners can also edit those pins for their unit. So if we have any commissioners watching, maybe make sure to check in with your units and make sure they're all setters.
Yeah, I mean, the commissioners are a great part of scouting, and the unit service is their critical core. And if unit commissioners or assistant council district commissioners can help, I definitely contact the Cub Scout packs and the Scout BSA troops and the venture crews and the Sea Scout skips. But if they could help, it's a great way. It's just, that's one less barrier for us to be able to get more communication to all the people who are interested in joining.
Okay, I've got more information from Luke. He's saying their pin does come up if you expand to a 20-mile search, which again makes me think, make sure that zip code's right, because it should be specific to your zip code. The town has 2 area codes, and where we meet is 11.7 miles away from my zip code. Oh, from your zip code. Maybe you need to put the zip code of the meeting place.
Yeah, the charter where you meet itself is where I would put the zip code.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Hopefully that's a solve. Jesse says they use QR codes for Be a Scout on all of their flyers. Yep. Brilliant.
Yeah, that's a real quick thing you can do. Like Jesse mentioned, you have your own pack has its own QR code. You don't have to go to QR code generator. The National Council's already done it with the Be a Scout program, and you can download your thing, and anything, every business card, informational piece that your Cub Scout pack is doing, you can put that QR code, and bam, it's going to take someone right to your Cub Scout pack. It even stops. They don't even have to put a zip code in. It's great.
I want to follow up. So Kevin brought up something. Maybe you've seen this, Chris. So we talked about what happens when an applicant puts in their information and they're not getting contacted from the den or the unit. What about the reverse? What if a unit is contacting somebody who has submitted an application or maybe even registered and they're not hearing anything?
After a little while, it's going to time out, but there's certain ways that both the district, the individuals, volunteers, and your district executive, and also individuals at your local council will have the opportunity, and they can go in and clear things out. But I would highly suggest you work through every medium possible of communication before that happens. But there are things where it's called timed out, and items like that will happen. But try to reach every single way you can to the individuals. But sometimes, I get it, sometimes people just, they're done, or they might have moved. I don't know. So there is a way to clear it out.
I don't know what, I guess you can also just use that as a lead. Like maybe you're collecting that information on those people so that maybe it's not going to work out right now, but you might be able to reach out to them in a year and they, it fits their schedule or something. I don't know.
And you can go back into Be a Scout in the application review in My.Scouting and look at that whenever you want, literally from 30 days out or 30 days before. There's different ways you can do, and it will cache it for a very long time. So like you're saying, you could go back. It wouldn't be a bad idea that every now and then you're still going back. Hey, I know that you were interested a couple of months ago. If things change, do you want to come back? It's a great idea.
Yeah, honestly, you could, start creating a role. You don't even have to create the list, but maybe you send out an email once a year to not just people from that list, but just anybody who's expressed interest that you have the information of, just to check in with them. Cheryl adds in, if there's no response to the lead within 4 to 5 days, it goes up 1 level to be reassigned back to the same unit.
Yeah. So again, that's going to be where the district and or council, depending on the size of your council, has different things in place where if they get reassigned, the person at the district or the council can reassign it back to your unit, or it can get reassigned to another different unit because they might have found that your pack again met on Monday, but they can only do Tuesday or Wednesday. So sometimes we have to remember that they're the individuals that are trying to find the thing, and we're just there to help navigate whatever is going to be their best fit. So
great insights. Guys, we have 5 minutes left. I want to get to at least one more question and then open it back up to Chris to make sure we've covered everything. Christine says they've had problems with the person's email being wrong and no phone number. So it makes it impossible to reach someone. Christine, did you ever figure out what to do? Did you track the person down? I don't know. I think I'd go to social media or something, but I'm curious, did that resolve?
One's tough. Yeah. If the phone number doesn't work, because they could have put in the wrong number again. 6 and 7 sometimes get real quick with your thumbs. That's the tough one. Social media is also a place you can look, and I'd love to know, Christine, if you were able to figure out a new thing that we all don't know about. That'd be nice.
Please
Not that
tell
we
us.
want to stalk people, but we want to make sure if they were obviously interested to see what we can do to help them join.
Definitely, but and like, yeah, I don't think you'd like want to add somebody in Facebook you don't know, but it is
No.
a small world because sometimes you look up those names, especially when we're talking about units, and you're like, oh, we've got this mutual friend who's already in the unit. I'm just going to see if she can reach out to her and see if that was her who registered. Like, I think that that's very reasonable and ethical.
Yeah.
Okay, this kind of the show like flew by. What have we left out? Is there anything else we want to talk about in terms of the Be a Scout pin?
The only thing I want to mention, and we can show some of the pictures I sent, is we talked about that recruitment's really 24/7. So it's important that at your Cub Scout pack meetings, your den meetings, always remember that you're going to have new kids joining throughout the year. This is actually a karate dojo that came to one of our Cub Scout pack meetings. The kids love that they're learning different things, but if you reach out to certain businesses, they'll love to come out. This is all the kids that are excited. Some of them, my two kids are in there somewhere, not following direction, I'm sure, but they're all different things, getting excited. But I would highly recommend make sure that you have an element in your pack meetings every single month for new families. So something exciting and new. This is our pack actually also. All have happened in the past 3 months, but we went to the Orange County Sheriff's Stable where they have the mounted patrol, and they all got to interact, get an idea from the sheriff what everything happens with law enforcement, but also see all the different horses and what happens with the training that they get to do. But the reason I'm showing these photos is just to make sure that everyone understands. Recruitment 24 is literally 365 days a year. Make sure your Cub Scout meetings have a fun component every single meeting, not just in the fall, not just in the spring, but year round, so we can make sure that everyone understands Cub Scouting really is for everyone, and we have fun all the time. That's the big thing I will say. That's the last thing. I know that I've been on the camera too long, so I'll probably put this thing back on. And,
see, it's the proof. You got to have fun every meeting, even on Cub Chat Live.
Exactly. So.
I like that point. Just also a call out. We have a blog post and a Cub Chat Live that talks about passive recruiting as well. When you're having a great time in a unit meeting and you're out in public, you're wearing, Class B even, that's a passive recruiting opportunity. Families are seeing you, kids are seeing you. Your goal is for the non-scouts who see you to tug their parents' shirt and say, what are they? And why can't I be part of that? That's the most powerful recruiting opportunity I think you have. Reminder, you can watch past episodes of Cub Chat Live at the link that was just on the bottom of the screen. We are also a podcast now, as you probably heard at the beginning of the show. If you guys like to listen on the go, maybe you want to start, sharing these episodes with volunteers who just want to listen in the car or listen while they're mowing. You can do that now. So check us out. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all the places that you typically listen to podcasts. It's been an awesome show. Chris, I think we need to have you come back when we're talking about onboarding.
There we go. So,
do you have another animal costume you could bring?
We've got lots of them. So,
okay. Well, guys, everybody take a guess in the comments what we are going to see Chris as next. Also got to give a big shout out to the Central Florida Council for lending us Chris for the last 30 minutes. Thank you so much, Chris, and thank you everybody else. We'll see you next time.
See you, everyone.
Thanks for tuning in today. Be sure to catch next week's episode. Same time, same place. And let us know how we're doing at go.scoutingmagazine.org/rate-cubchat. We love feedback and ideas for new episodes. And you can visit blog.scoutingmagazine.org/cubchatlive for all our past video episodes. You can see us live. Except it's recorded, but it was live. Okay, see you next week.